Welcome to the first episode of a podcast we have yet to name.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
We have no idea. Aaron does not like my idea of his dark podcast.
Because the way you say it now just seems like it's all about me learning about
Racist.
Learning
you're
about
making
this
it
whole
racist.
thing. I'm just saying.
But yes, we are doing a podcast on every episode of His Dark Materials on HBO and or BBC One, depending on where you live.
Or on Pirate Bay.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you don't know what that is? Oh,
No.
okay. I guess it was only me.
I watched it on HBO
I watched
because
it.
I
On,
live in America, and that's the only place it's distributed here.
you watched it on HBO?
Yeah, I watched it on HBO.
What time are we recording this?
10
Ooh.
p.m.
Oh, okay.
on Monday the 4th.
Okay. I'm just
Look,
making
it says
sure.
right there, 10, 11 p.m.
Wow. Somebody didn't recognize daylight savings time.
Shut the fuck up.
Anyway.
But yeah, so I asked Aaron to do this podcast with me, and he was very nice and agreed to do so because I love these books. I'm obsessed with these books. So when I heard that they were making this TV show, I was really wary because I remember the movie. And hang on, I'm gonna move my dog. Millie, you're killing me. Millie is just on top of Aaron.
But she was being nice.
Sweetheart.
She wasn't barking or anything.
She's not. Can
She
you
was
lay
just
down, honey?
licking my cheek, and now she's
I like
sniffing my
that
butt.
as soon as you said licking my cheek, she started. She went right to your ass.
So His Dark Materials.
His Dark Materials.
Written
by Philip Pullman.
Okay.
And so if you remember, there was a movie in 2007 called The Golden Compass, which is the first book, and it's bad.
Okay.
It's really bad.
So this 2007 is when the book came out.
No, 2007 is when the movie came out.
Okay, no. When did the book come out then? Was it Harry Potter's?
1990. Hang on, I have it sitting right in front of me. It should be on the copyright page. I wasn't ready for you to ask me this question.
I'm only asking because this whole series went over my head until I started working at GameStop, and a game came out for it, like literally. So that's why I'm like, if it's warranted a movie, it's warranted a video game, and it's warranted this HBO series, there's a fan base.
There's a huge fan base.
Okay, but
1996, I believe.
I heard about Harry Potter, even though I didn't read any of the books. I mean, still going through them, and then I didn't watch any of the movies beforehand. There's a ton of video games. I heard about it, though. This one, it kind of seemed like it just...
I mean, there's like having a big following, and then there's being Harry Potter. That's
Yeah,
a
okay.
cultural phenomenon.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you know what Game of
Cultural.
Thrones was before the TV show?
No, but
and that has a massive following.
Yeah, of nerds, like D&D nerds and stuff like that. That's not a massive following.
They're not real people.
No, not really.
Way to alienate our audience.
You think... Okay, hold on. No, because there's a difference between the people that like the Golden Compass or the Dark Materials. I bet you there's a difference between the people that read and like that series and the people that like the Game of Thrones series.
I bet there's a lot of overlap.
You think there's overlap?
I'm sure there is.
Well, so far from what I've seen from this first episode, it doesn't seem like there would be...
I'm sorry. You've gotten through like 2 chapters.
I've seen 2. I've seen it twice.
Are there 7 of these books? 3 in the first trilogy, 3 in the second trilogy, 1 companion.
So tell me, first of all, before we go further, tell me a little bit more about the author. Has he done any other books that are similar, or do you not know anything about that?
I was not prepared for you to ask me that question.
I have a ton of questions. This is
like,
your
random
podcast where you're
shit.
supposed to be like, think about this which we probably should have. It would have been fun to actually do this whenever it was with the Harry Potter. I'm taking it like that like.
Well, I'm looking. So I'm looking at I have my copy of my copy of the Golden Compass sitting right in front of me, and so there's a page that says also by Philip Pullman, and he's got these 3 books that are in this series: the Golden Compass, the Subtle Knife, the Amber Spyglass, and then it lists the Broken Bridge, Count Karlstein, I Was a Rat, Puss in Boots, the Ruby and the Smoke, the Shadow in the
He
North.
wrote Puss in Boots?
Yeah, you never knew.
I don't think
he wrote Shrek the whole time.
He did not write Puss in Boots.
Also
Get
by
out of
Philip
here.
Pullman. So it's like a whole list. So yes, he is a very prolific author. He hates C.S. Lewis, and he hates the Chronicles of Narnia.
Why does he hate them?
Because he hates religion, which I'm curious to see how this show deals with. This whole book series is incredibly anti-religion, which is why there was a massive Catholic protest about the movie when it came out.
But they've done a lot of stories where it's been anti-religion, where religion is the villain in the story, and it's been fine before.
This one's pretty blatant.
No, they have. What's the movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman where the priest was basically just a pedophile the whole time. And
Real life?
wow. Well, it was based basically off real
Yeah.
life. So that movie came out, and I think he won an award for it. So it's all about how you do it, I think. So, but I've heard that before about this. This is a big anti, religion thing. But I mean, I always put it up to like it's somebody's story. I like stories. I don't like censorship on somebody's imagination. You know what I mean?
Right.
So whatever, that's their story they want to tell. That's fine. Tell it. So, okay, you can have your opinion about it one way or another, but it's not Game of Thrones. So
I digress. To get back to the beginning of this,
correct. Yes,
I want to give a little context for the format and sort of what we're doing here. So that covers the fact that I have read the books.
Mm-hmm.
I read them as kids. I'm in the middle of the last one again because I don't remember a lot of it. But I'm going through the series again, and I'm in the middle of the last one. But so I'm reading them recently.
Okay.
And I love them, and I'm obsessed with them.
Again,
and
like you're enjoying it again as an adult.
I enjoy it so much more as an adult. There's so much that I didn't catch on to as a kid. There's a lot of really heavy. There's a lot of really heavy shit in these books that I didn't catch on to as a kid.
Okay.
Or I just didn't care about. And as an adult, I can appreciate it, and I can appreciate the sentiment behind it and how it affects the rest of the story. So as an adult, I am enjoying these books much more than I did as a child. And you have not read the books.
Never read the books.
Didn't see the movie.
Sold the video game.
Sold the video game.
But I didn't even see the video game. Like I never saw any gameplay of it.
What did
Nothing.
you saw? A polar bear on the cover.
I saw the polar bear on the cover and the little girl with the golden compass because the game was called The Golden Compass. And
even the book wasn't originally called that. It was originally called The Northern Lights.
Oh.
And they changed the name for some reason years later.
Oh, years later they changed it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like he didn't want it to be the Golden Compass, and then he was like, I'll call it that anyway.
Yeah, no, for some reason it changed later. I'm
Okay.
not sure why. But so that's the context of this, is that we are two people watching this show, one of us having read the books and loved the books, and one of us having no idea and going in completely blind, because I also
Blank slate,
advised you not to watch the trailers.
Never watched the trailer either. I watched
You
the
watched
first
the first one because
yeah.
I made you, because I was excited.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, you have to sit down and watch this.
And
then
I watched that one, yes.
The more recent trailers that came out, I watched, and I don't like the way they're handling that. They're telegraphing a lot of the plot, a lot of things you're not supposed to know.
And you say don't watch this, but my question was like, I feel like I'm not going to understand it anyway, right?
No, you would. There's things in there that you're not supposed to know are coming. Very similar to if we just get into the episode, when the episode opens up and it has that text on screen, it talks about witches. You're not supposed to know they exist. And they're just flat out telling you right now, hey, witches exist and are part of this world.
Okay. All right.
So it's things like that.
That's a plot twist, I guess,
things
that
are
you wouldn't
supposed
have
to
known.
be a surprise going forward, or like things that are going to be very big climactic discoveries are in the trailer.
See, that's why
as setting the world.
That's interesting, because you're not supposed to know that witches exist, but
they're like a fairy tale.
Okay, so then you would rather have, and we spoke about this when they were showing that on the screen. You rather have the why am I forgetting the word? Expositional dialogue as opposed to just.
Yeah, I think that it's just a personal preference thing for me. I think that having on-screen text that tells you, this is like our world, but it's different than our world, and there's demons, and a demon is your soul, and you're bonded to it, and you're like the bond is sacred. Like it's lazy.
Okay.
You're just, oh, hey, we don't really know how to set this up, so we're just going to tell you, and you have to read it. And
so if they had like a scene where maybe, what was the boy's name again?
Roger.
If they had Roger and he was like going to sleep and his mother was telling him a bedtime story about witches.
His mother's dead. He's an orphan.
Oh, my God. The housemaid was telling him a bedtime story about witches. Then they'll be like, they don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a story. Then that's fine. And then season 3, you find out, yeah, they do, or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I like that. But that exposition that they showed in first, 2 seconds of the show, now I'm expecting witches to be all up in this thing first, So I know who the opposition is.
Yeah.
I guess. I feel like there's still a twist with it. Like so much so that they can get away with telling you that there's witches in it.
I mean, I'm sure there.
I know for people that are listening,
yeah.
You can't see Emma's face of I have information that I can't tell you so much on her face right now.
So I took notes on my phone, and literally the first thing that my notes say, bold type, all caps, it says, "You're not supposed to know any of this."
And yet now
And
I
yet
do.
Now I do. Or now
Okay.
you do.
Yes.
So all that going back to what I was saying 10 minutes ago is I asked you not to watch the trailers. And at the end of the episode, I stopped it before it got to the coming next on.
I still saw some dirigibles and stuff like that flying around, so I know that's.
So the episode opens up with...
What's the name of the episode? We even...
Lyra's Jordan.
Really?
Which is the name of the second chapter in the first book.
Lyra's Jordan?
Jordan.
Like her shoes?
Jordan College, which is where she lives.
I thought she was in some Jordans. Okay.
Jordan College
in
Oxford.
Wait, no. Are you sure? Well, I mean, you've read the books. Yes, you're sure. But I could have swore they called the college something different. So,
Jordan
like, in the
College.
Beginning, let's go over. Go.
So they start out, James McAvoy, who is Lord Asriel.
Great actor.
Fantastic actor.
Yes.
As soon as I heard his name was attached to Lord Asriel for this, I was sold. Because I'm like, how do you beat Daniel Craig?
Did you watch the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's how I know it's terrible.
Did you like Daniel Craig at least? Was there any shining moment?
Daniel Craig as Lord Asriel was phenomenal.
Okay.
Nicole Kidman as Mrs. Coulter was really, really, really good.
Okay.
The little girl that played Lyra was good. The cast was really good.
It was just the way they handled the story.
Movie.
Okay. All right. So we see
Lord Asriel has a baby in his hands. He arrives in the middle of the Great Flood, which is very much an Easter egg. I didn't know about it. It's very much an Easter egg if you are really into the series and you've read both the His Dark Materials trilogy and the prequel book before it.
Okay.
Which I have not read. So I was like, what the fuck is this flood? Why is there water everywhere? But the Great Flood is the setting for when Asriel shows up with baby Lyra and he takes her to the college and invokes Scholastic Sanctuary.
Which you said was also new for you, right?
It was new for me, apparently. It's apparently in the books, but I either don't remember it or it's another thing that's in.
And now I'm wondering who am I doing the podcast with.
I know. I don't know about it.
Okay, so then here's a question then. Are there any descriptions of the college being like really underwater?
No.
Okay. Because I'm like, the flood explains other characters and their mode of transportation, kind of. Well, at least to me.
Not necessarily. The Egyptians always lived that way.
Well, it kind of explained it to me. That's how I interpret it.
Gotcha.
But we'll get there when we get there. So, but yeah, the flood is something that was a prequel that you didn't.
Yeah, I know. I did not know about that.
Okay.
But yeah, so he shows up with baby Lyra, gives her to the master of Jordan College, invokes Scholastic Sanctuary, which basically is just like, this child can live here. I'm invoking Scholastic Sanctuary. You have to take her. You have to raise her. She has to live here. And you can't say no to me.
I wonder why, and I wonder if they're going to go into more of that. Like, why is that a rule?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And the master of Jordan College, tells him, he's like, this is not a place for a child. We've never had one here. She, for all intents and purposes, is the first child that has ever lived in Jordan College in this way.
And again, that confused me too, because I'm like, it's a building with people. Take care of another human. She's not different from.
But the scholars are they're scholars. They're very uptight. They're very, they live their lives for their research, and they don't want distractions, and they don't want kids, and they don't deal with, this isn't their life.
I can see them seeing it as like a distraction. Like, we don't have time to raise a child because we're always studying or we're always researching. But you have staff members that are
who
there.
have jobs.
Yeah, but does no one have kids?
But also, she's you're not going to give her to a servant.
But I'm saying there are no relationships in this place. There's women there. There's men there. Nobody snuck into a kitchen.
Did you see any women and
Actually, no,
any
I didn't.
female scholars?
I didn't. No, just the help, I'm saying, though.
Right.
Like, just the lower class people. Because that's usually, that's where you're going to get the freedoms to do some stuff. So, nobody, not one other kid was there? Okay. Accidentally? Or do they send them away?
Who knows?
I think you do. You're just not telling me right now. Do they killing kids? No, because... Okay, whatever. Because you make it seem like, okay, kids aren't supposed to be here. So they deal with them, quote, unquote.
Yes. I don't know what you're talking about.
Stack of books on top of them accidentally in the library or something. Like, oh, well, your baby...
just going to a dark place.
It's just dark materials. There you go.
It's a dark podcast.
Okay.
So then we go into 12 years later. So all of that everything that preceded that is not in the books. The whole, the book starts when Lyra's 12 years old.
Okay.
You don't know how she got there or really. It kind of explains, but you don't see it.
Hold on. We skipped over a whole thing. You went through it fast, explaining that everybody in the universe has a demon.
Right. So you were confused about this, and I am upset about the way they're doing it too, but I have a feeling it's because of budget. Every single person every single person
Yes.
has a demon. If you are a human being, you have a demon. You cannot live without your demon. Your demon cannot live without you.
But
there are almost no background characters with visible demons in the show, and I have a feeling it's just because of the CGI budget.
so in the books, if a servant came up, did they ever explain what that servant's demon is?
Yeah,
okay.
they'll describe it person. He has dark hair. He has blue eyes. He has a butterfly demon.
Okay.
It's just a regular descriptor of a person.
But they just glanced over it with the budget because they're like, we don't have it right now.
And I'm hit and miss on that because on the one hand, it sucks that you can't see it, and I'm hoping season 2 gets a bigger budget so they can. But on the other hand, I have a feeling they saved the budget so that the ones that they did do look really good, and the demons look good.
Yeah, none of the animals looked bad.
They look
at all.
really good.
But they were all actually the CG was done well.
Maria, I think, is probably would have been the hardest one to do, which is Lord Asriel's leopard demon.
Okay.
And for the longest time, I kept calling her Hester, which is somebody else's demon that we'll get to later.
So for those that are like me and are in the not to know, demons are just animals, basically.
Yes.
Because the wording is
animals, insects, reptiles,
but
anything.
not sea creatures.
No, they can. There's people with
really?
if your demon turns into a dolphin, they actually talk about it later in
how the hell do
series.
you? Because you said they can't be separated.
Yeah,
right?
if your demon turns into a dolphin, you have to live on the water.
Oh, screw that. Yeah, come on.
That is a specific instance that comes up
and there's water people out there.
Just people that are fishers and they're fishermen and they live on boats.
And so wait, what if they're like deep sea creatures? How do they survive? Plot holes already. I thought about it because I was like, what if the flood had a whole bunch of just sea, demons just spawned because of the flood, and now they just like, oh well, we got to be water people now.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so there was I know there was a lot of confusion on demons and how they work. And you had asked me can demons talk to other people?
Well, because there's scenes in there where you see a person talking to their demon, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But then it never seemed like they acknowledged any other humans around, or humans never spoke to them or something. They always got animal noises from them.
Yeah.
But they just never really interacted.
So in that first opening text, it tells you that the bond between a person and their demon is sacred.
Okay.
You do not. One of the worst things you can ever do is to touch someone else's demon. You would never ever touch somebody else's demon because you're basically touching their soul. And that kind of goes a little bit into you can talk to the people's demons, but it's generally on their terms. If a person's demon talks to you, then that's fine, and you can kind of you can converse with them. But for the most part, you're going to talk with the person.
But you said the demons can interact with each other.
But demons can talk with each other. And if there's a language barrier, if you and I spoke different languages, our demons could still communicate, and it's a way past the language barrier. It's translation.
Okay.
But yeah, so the bond between a person and their demon, between a person and their soul, is incredibly sacred.
Okay. And so
very interesting.
Lyra's dropped off. He invoked Sanctuary, basically. 12 years later, she's in the classroom. Is that what's going on?
It's when she is running across the rooftops with Roger. It's the race with Roger, right?
Oh, yeah, it's the race with Roger first.
Yeah.
And
that's really just to set the scene of this kid is her best friend, and also kind of how she behaves. She's a very precocious child. She gets into things that she's not supposed to. She goes places she's not supposed to. She drinks.
She's an alcoholic at the age of 12.
Yeah, and she doesn't care for rules. She doesn't care for people telling her what to do. She wants to.
That didn't come across too much, though.
Yeah.
So, I know you don't watch anime, but there's an anime name called Naruto.
Weeb.
And in the beginning, they establish his character as the troublemaker because they show him going around the village doing a whole bunch of just mischief, and then he spray paints, sacred artifacts and stuff like that. And so, if that's the point that they were trying to get across, it was just a race to me. All it did for me was establish that these two are friends. These two are close, and I do like how they did their scenes together throughout the whole series.
Her and Roger are they're best friends.
Mm-hmm.
But if you remember the sort of crypt that they go into, I don't know if you noticed, but on one of the walls, it's just a wall of skulls.
Yes, because they show the camera through that on one time.
So each of those skulls has coins on the eyes, and those are old scholars that have died. And there's a scene where she takes one of the coins. She steals it.
In the book, there is.
In the book, yeah.
Okay.
She steals the coin. And then later on, she has a nightmare, and it's under her pillow. She has a nightmare about something, and she freaks out and goes and puts it back. But that's she doesn't care about tradition. She doesn't care about rules. She doesn't, Roger is afraid in the crypts. He doesn't like all the skeletons and the dead bodies, and she's making fun of him for it. And
yeah, I mean, it's to show the different personalities.
She's
and
brave.
Brave?
She's very brave to a fault.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But we are, so my note says the demons all look really good. And I could not get over how much I loved Stelmaria's voice. I don't know who that voice actress is. But
you didn't look that up? Because I thought you just knew the actress.
No.
And you were like, oh, I really love
No, she just
blah, blah,
sounds
blah.
really good. I'm like addicted to her voice. I do have one note from the title sequence. Lin-Manuel Miranda's name is not in the title sequence. Which leads me to believe he's not a main cast member. He's a guest star.
Or maybe he's just not in the first episode.
No, because he'd still be in the main title sequence if he's a main cast member. Because contractually, you have to be.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
So
maybe
he's going to show up
just
as a guest star, which
So
means
you
he's only
did
going to
not-
be in a few episodes.
So you don't know? Do you know his character?
Yeah,
Oh, so then you should know how much he'd be in it then, right?
I do, and I'm surprised that he's not a main cast member.
Really? So do you think that they changed maybe the story then?
I think it's gonna end up being fast tracked in certain places, and I hope that he's brought on as a main cast member at least for season 2.
Okay.
Hi, Millie. My dog is climbing on Aaron and licking his arm.
She's really friendly whenever she wants to be.
Yes.
Okay. But I'm trying to find the voice actress while you're going. So go ahead. What's the name of the
Stelmaria.
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 Okay.
So she sees Lord Asriel. She sees him coming to Jordan College. He's arrived. Roger points him out, and she gets
Wait,
very
beforehand,
excited.
no, you're missing, though, because they showed a little bit of him before he gets to Stelmaria.
because they added that scene. That's not in the books.
Oh, that's not in the books?
No.
Okay.
There's a couple scenes that they added that I understand them adding for like sort of world building and setting, because you view the world through Lyra's eyes, and that's not something Lyra would have seen.
Can't look her up.
It's fine. We'll find it later.
No, I can find her. It's just I saw cast names of something.
Oh,
so
no.
as soon as I saw something that said witch, I stopped.
Oh, no.
But I knew there's witches already, so okay, I didn't see anything.
But yeah,
So
they
there's a
show
scene.
Lord Asriel. He's up in the north. You see the Aurora Borealis.
Yep.
He's taking photographs.
Mhm.
And then I don't know what that guy's name is.
Is that not just a character? Or maybe it's
He
just
might
made
be, but it's so inconsequential that
up. He
don't
brings
remember.
him back to, or he brings whatever pictures he has back to some guy in a lab, and
They've clearly captured something.
yeah, they've captured something because like something that's the guy's hands had to be clean for him to touch it, and he's like, I'm gonna take this back to the college, this evidence back to the college, so they believe me, or if they don't believe me, they'll believe. What's the other guy's?
Him.
No. Then he said the guy's name.
No, he doesn't.
I could have swore he said the
doesn't say
guy's
it
name. Well,
He just says
okay.
we're bringing a friend, and he picks something up that you
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And he says if they don't believe us, they'll believe him.
Okay, and then
And it's very vague.
yeah,
and
it's very vague.
mysterious.
Yes.
But yeah, so then you kind of go back and Lyra sees him, and she gets very excited because she hasn't seen Lord Asriel in a very long time.
A year.
Yeah. She says it's, I haven't seen you in almost a year when she finally sees him. So she runs across Jordan, runs across the rooftops and sees something she's not supposed to see. She sees the master of Jordan College poisoning the wine he's about to serve to Lord Asriel.
Which confuses the crap out of me. Because I don't know the relationship between Asriel and
the master.
Like, it seems like they have some type of history, from the beginning.
Clearly he trusted him enough
Yeah.
to leave his niece.
So if
with
you
him.
trusted this person enough to leave a family member that you care for, but this person would be quick to poison you,
And he doesn't seem surprised.
and he doesn't.
He's like,
yeah.
somebody probably tried to kill me, and I think he makes a comment later that I probably deserved it or something. He made some comment.
Well, he just says he's
He just
not
doesn't really
surprised
care.
because of, I guess, what he's doing.
Yeah.
So he knows there's going to be assassins. But so when she sees that and she stops it, when Lyra stops him from drinking the poison,
Yeah, she shoves the glass out of his
he
hand.
almost breaks her arm, though.
Yeah, the little girl just snapped his wine out of his hand.
No. Okay, so this is what I thought, though. I thought he's so untrusting of everybody. She's been here for a long time. She could have been brainwashed by these people. Not necessarily brainwashed, but she thinks like them now. So she could be an assassin as well. And I thought they were going to go with that whole thing. And I'm like,
I see where you're going, and
He's
you're
Batman.
wrong.
Like, he's Batman.
No.
I don't trust anybody. Batman doesn't even trust Superman.
I mean, he does say that. He says, I don't trust anybody.
But he trusts her to spy. Like, he trusts her to, spy.
So he shoves her in a floorboard or a cupboard.
Yeah.
And tells her to spy on whatever's happening, to keep watch on whatever.
Yes. And he talks about pay close attention, especially when dust is mentioned.
Yes. So you've got your first inclination that something called dust is important.
Yeah, but they don't explain really anything right then and there. So when I first watched it, I was just like, "What are they talking about? Dirt? Like that's
And that's
it?"
exactly the comment Roger makes later
He
in the
does,
episode.
yes. And so I think that was written well until you get the actual full explanation or whatever.
So I'm curious what the meeting and what the pictures look like from your perspective, because I know what everything is. But
Okay, so the next scene, then she's talking about Azrael is having a meeting with all the scholars, and he's showing the proof that he's showing the evidence that he found in the north.
Mm-hmm.
So he shows a picture that he took of, I guess, a man and a child, and then he shows a different way that he took the film or the
a different
picture.
kind of emulsion that he produced the photo in.
And it shows like just glowing dust particles around the adult. And I mean, right now it kind of doesn't really mean anything besides something special or something unique happens to adults only, and children are immune to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing until we didn't even discuss that.
We'll get there because we haven't gotten to the ceremony yet, which is really where you kind of get that.
So the dust doesn't affect the kids. That's what it is. Lyra's behind the little, floorboard, and she's seeing all this go down, and this is freaking the hell out of the master. He's like, this is heresy. This is not supposed to be discussed. So whatever this dust stuff is, clearly the powers that be don't want people to know about it, which I don't understand why you wouldn't want.
That is very much intentional. You're not supposed to understand right now.
Okay.
Because Lyra doesn't understand.
Yeah, okay.
She's never heard of dust before.
All right. So, but everybody else has, I'm guessing, in that room.
It would appear that everybody in the room knows what it is.
Okay.
And she doesn't understand. And they're not supposed to talk about it.
But then the bigger thing on top of that is his next picture that he shows, where they show Aurora Borealis, David Boreanaz up in the sky. And
nice Family Guy joke. They made
he
that one
shows,
first.
wow, okay, whatever. I can still whatever. And then he shows a different slide with a different picture, and you see there's a full-blown city in the sky. And that really freaks everybody out. Like, holy crap, there's something out there. So, clearly, yes, somebody's hiding everything from the people that are supposed to have free knowledge. Like, they can study anything they want. They can learn anything they want. Like, there's supposed to be no limits on the knowledge they can get. But something is being hidden from them, one of their own, because then that's when they shows the frozen head.
Mm-hmm.
He found one of their scholars out there.
Dr. Samuel Grumman,
because I guess he went out there under the auspices, or he told them that he was going out there for one thing, but he was actually going out there to follow another group, right?
Yeah, he told them he was going somewhere called Svalbard.
Yeah.
And then he went much further north than that.
Yes. So he comes back with Grubus's head, because that's all he, I guess, can bring back.
That's all they found.
He has one guy that I guess knew Grubus. Grumman? Grumman? Okay, whatever. He has one guy that knew Grumman identify the head the best he could, but they're all old dudes with glasses, and then it was in dirty ice, so it's just like...
Which is weird. I don't remember it being that way in the book. I think it was just a head, and anybody could see who it was.
Yeah, I couldn't see who that was.
An interesting way to do that.
I didn't even know there was a head in there.
Maybe they didn't want to show a severed head.
That's stupid. It's HBO.
It's BBC. HBO didn't make the show.
Oh.
BBC made the
I
show.
thought this was HBO, and...
HBO is the global distributor. It's so that anybody outside of Britain can see it.
So, Britain has shown, like, nudity and stuff like that, though. So, severed head is whatever. Anyway, but it freaks people out. And then Azrael says one of the coldest lines that I've heard in the whole thing of, who will stand against me, when he's trying to get a vote to get more money to go north even further.
I love that because that's so Azrael, because like he would never be the type to be like, okay, well, who will stand with me and support me in this? He's like,
exactly.
Which one of you motherfuckers is gonna say no to me?
Yeah, when I heard, I literally, when I first heard that when I first watched it, I was like, that's probably the way I'm going to say it from now on. I'd be like, who stands against me? And just be like, okay. Because it's like
Azrael.
you put it right on the people of like, okay, now who's going to stand up? Who's going to be the first in the group to be like, oh, well, I don't think you. No, you're not. You're not going to be. You don't have the balls to do that. And then a whole bunch of old dudes, whatever. So the thing that I didn't understand, though, he had his spy still, Lyra, in the little cupboard or whatever.
But forgets that she's there.
She didn't really spy on anything. Like, what was she supposed to be spying for?
So she's supposed to be that. The way that they worded it is weird. He wants her to spy on the Master Jordan College always, not just in that meeting.
Okay, see, I thought it was just for that meeting, and I was like,
no.
Okay, what am I missing?
In the book, she goes into the retiring room, which is a place it's not supposed to be. It is very, like, if she gets caught there, it's bad. She is not supposed to be there. They really don't say that much.
Why? Yeah, that's right. I get it. I get it.
And so she hides in the cupboard when she hears somebody. She's, like, just messing around. She's like, well, I'm not allowed in here, so I'm going to come in here. And so she's just messing around, and she hears somebody coming, so she hides in a cupboard and sees the poisoning.
Okay.
And then when they leave, she's like, there's like some dinner or something going on, and she can't leave. And she's basically stuck there all night, for hours until Lord Asriel happens to show up. She didn't go there for him in the book.
So he didn't know she was there?
No. He had no idea she was there.
Okay, so
until she jumps out and smashes the bottle.
Yeah.
And, the whole thing kind of goes down.
Okay.
But yeah, he wants her to spy on the Master of Jordan College always. He's like,
okay.
You need to be my eyes here. Keep an eye on what's happening.
They probably should have changed that because it's a short period of time before anything. Like, she doesn't have enough time to spy on anything between the series of events that happen.
Well, that also wasn't planned.
He
didn't know. Nobody really knew that. Again, the show handles that kind of differently than the book does. But anyway, so you've seen this meeting. You've been introduced to the concept of dust.
Don't know what it is, though.
No idea what
right
it
now,
is.
it literally is just dust.
Yeah. And so I do like how they do the thing. Stelmaria has to remind him that Lyra is in the wall.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't know.
Child.
He doesn't really care.
He says she just says the child, right?
The child.
Like
your niece.
The thing? Yeah, like, come on. Are they attached to family? Your souls? Your demons?
I mean, they're attached to you, and if you're attached to your family, then they're attached to your family.
But there's no, like, I want to say soul resonance so bad. There's no, like, connection, like, if I am sad, my demon is sad. There is stuff like that, too.
Yeah, your demon's mood can affect you, and your mood can affect your demon.
Okay. But we are still independent.
Yes.
It's just sometimes.
But you feel them there. You feel that connection.
Okay.
But like it's done really well in the book. I really like how they talk about it. But like she'll talk about, or she'll think about, like, we need to be quiet and I have to calm down because I can be quiet. But if Pan is nervous, he's gonna make noise. So I need to be calm so that he doesn't make a noise.
Okay. All right.
Or like she'll talk about, like, she would, she doesn't understand why, but suddenly she's very nervous, and it's because Pan is nervous. And she feels what he feels.
Don't like that. Wouldn't like that at all. You would be a wreck.
With my little dog here.
Yes.
if
neurotic Millie was your demon, you would be a wreck.
We would be a great pair.
Oh.
But yeah, so he pulls her out of the wall by her leg. Pulls her out, picks her up, takes her upstairs. It's a very tender moment, which is odd.
Okay, yeah.
But watching it again, so I thought when I saw that, I was like, this is oddly tender. And then I watched it again tonight, and I kind of registered it yesterday, but like he puts her on the bed backwards. Her feet are at the pillow, her head is at the back. And I was reading somebody's review of the episode, and they made a comment about how it kind of shows that he almost cares about her. He cares enough to get her to bed, but not enough to do it right.
It's like
it kind of shows.
I care about her safety, but I'm not caring about her well-being.
Right. I don't care about her comfort.
I don't even think he gave her a pillow.
Yeah, he did. He took it off the other side and gave it.
And put it above her head. Yeah. He didn't put her on. Yeah, he didn't lift her head and put it on there. He just put it above, and then he fluffed it. And I was like, for what? If she's not laying on it.
And you can tell that she's awake.
Yeah.
And she's not telling him.
Yeah.
Which I liked, because it kind of shows in a way like she enjoys she enjoys that he's caring for her.
And it makes sense. It's her only connection to family.
Only family.
Yeah, that's
She's nobody.
Yeah.
Except this uncle that comes around once a year, maybe.
Exactly.
So you'd asked about that too. You'd asked me if it was like how often does she see him or something. Like, was it weird that he was gone for so long? You texted me something.
I think it
along
was
those
something
lines.
along the lines of, is he like continuously like, I'm gone a year, come back, I'm gone a year, come back,
For
or
the
is
most
he
part.
and with no communication? He's not like serious, right? Where
Nah,
he's
like
writing
they
always,
show
or
a postcard on her wall, but there's only one, and she's put it
okay,
on her wall.
all right, yeah, okay. So it's not like Sirius Black and
No.
Harry because they
Absolutely
communicated.
not.
Okay,
Yeah, no.
all right.
Asriel, she exists, and when it's convenient for him, he'll acknowledge her, and he'll.
That's an interesting. I mean, there are people like that. I understand. So it's an interesting character. It's a new take on the character. I want to see how that evolves. Like, how does that relationship evolve as the show goes on? Because if it stays static like that throughout the whole thing, that's going to be irritating to me.
And you get in this scene the inclination or the impression that she wants to go with him. She wants to go north. She asks him to take her to the north. She wants to go to the north. She has mountains and polar bears that she's drawn on her walls. It's her dream. She wants to be an explorer. She wants him to take her with her.
Yeah, and that's a relatable feeling because when I was a kid, I wanted to leave California. I've only seen California type of situation when I was a kid, and at the chance to just go when my family was going to go to Texas for a family reunion, I was like, I want to go. Like, I want to get out of here. So that's a relatable thing, you know. And then I went to Texas and.
He came back to California.
Yes, very much so.
So after this, I believe, is when we get the first scene with the Egyptians.
Yes. Okay, so now we can talk about...
So the settling ceremony.
Yes.
So this is another scene that is not in the books.
Not in the books.
This does not exist in the books.
So,
I can understand why they added it, and I don't knock them for doing so. It sets the world, and again, a way that Lyra wouldn't have seen.
Well, explain the settling.
So settling is when, so your demon, as you see in the show, like her demon and Roger's demon, they change at will. They can just shapeshift into whatever animal they want. When you reach puberty, your demon settles into the form that it will stay for the rest of your life.
And that's totally their choice.
Yeah.
The demon's choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can, I mean, and there's even, it may not even be a choice. It may just be something that happens. Like
they were just stuck because they kept switching and switching, and then all of a sudden, oh crap,
like
I'm an octopus.
She and Roger have a conversation about it, and she says, well, Pan thinks he's going to be a lion. Pan doesn't know because he doesn't get to choose.
Oh, that is true. I remember that. See, because I was always thinking, in every story, there's always the one character that's the special person that they have some type of destiny before
the
them.
Chosen one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whenever I was seeing them race in the beginning, and I kept noticing her pet changing, well, at least I thought it was just hers.
Not a pet.
It is
How
basically.
Dare you? That is offensive.
It is basically a pet. So when I noticed her demon changing, I was like, that's a dope little, like, that's her special power. She can have a changeling. Like, yes, this is dope. Like, she's an X-Men. Like, she can have a bird for 1 second, a rat for another, a moth, because he turned into like a little moth when they were hiding and spying, quote unquote. So I was like, that's cool. But then when I saw this scene with the
Egyptians,
I keep wanting to say gypsies because of
topical.
Yeah,
topical.
But the Egyptians and how they settle for
so they have a ceremony. They make him a ring. They make a whole big
out of
deal
silver from everybody
that everybody's donated, which is big because Egyptians are poor.
Yeah. So
but they're very, like, it kind of shows you they're very, very community based.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, whereas Lyra doesn't know anybody. And, she's kind of just thrown into this place where nobody really kind of has a chance to care for her. The Egyptians are very much about their community.
Now, you said in the book there's more interaction between Lyra and the Egyptians early on?
Because there's no kids at Jordan College, so she has nobody to play with. So she goes and plays with the Egyptian kids.
They made it seem then, only in the show, they've only made it seem like her and
Roger.
And Roger are that's her whole childhood experience.
And for the most part, he is, because he's close by because he's a servant.
Does he go to the Egyptians too?
Yeah, they go and play with them together.
Why wouldn't they? Excuse me. Why wouldn't they make him Egyptian then?
Why wouldn't they make Roger Egyptian?
Yeah, like the liaison between Egyptians and her. That would be kind of an interesting take then, like the boy in the pajamas. That type of.
Yikes!
Well, I mean,
Oh my God! It's a dark podcast.
Dark materials. That's what it is. Yes.
But yeah, so we meet the Costas, Ma Costa, Tony, who it's his ceremony. His little brother Billy, who
all multiracial, the whole family. And I was just like, really? These guys are all So the Asian kid and the white mom and the black kid, they're all one. Okay, I mean it happens. I've seen it before.
Were any of them Asian?
No, I'm just using
okay.
for comedic. Thank you for ruining the joke. Whatever.
You're welcome. But yeah, so they have this whole ceremony. You kind of get a look at the Egyptians. What did you think?
I thought I liked it. I wanted to know more about the Egyptians though, and I thought I was going to get some exposition from the guy coming up. You know, when they said who's going to train, you know, the boy and his bird,
right?
And the guy that came up, did they say his name?
Did.
He says his name and his demon's name.
But, and I cannot remember what it was.
But when they came up and they went through like, hey, you know what we're about, you know our ways. Are you willing to uphold these ways? What are these ways, bro? So I was waiting on that, and he just didn't.
Have something to learn through the rest of the season.
Well,
you can't know everything.
I just want to know just the basic of the Egyptians. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, we do this, we do this, we do this. Are you going to uphold those? And then to me, that feels like that would give that character some struggle because he has to. There's going to be something that he has to deal with. Is he going to still be able to uphold these ways while he's trying to take care of this situation that's happening? Interesting. But I don't know these ways, so I mean, he's kind of free for him to do whatever the hell he wants now, right?
Interesting.
Like, say, I don't know about it, so like, I'm thinking
I can't say anything one way or the other.
I understand, but my initial thought was. Because, like, right after the ceremony, his little brother basically gets kidnapped.
Yes.
And my initial thought was he's going to have to break these ways to go and find his own little brother. But
interesting.
It goes different, you know, whatever. So I was like, that's going to be his kind of. So there's, like, two parallel stories going on right now. Because
there's Lyra's story. Yeah. And there's the Egyptian story.
And there's Egyptian stories, yes.
And where are those going to kind of are they going to intersect? Where are they going to intersect?
I mean, I know at least in episode 2 they might intersect because they're kind of. We'll get to it at the end, only because they're kind of going the same direction. But
I mean, you knew that before the trailer.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did, because they specifically say the Egyptians are going to London, and so is Lyra.
No, that's what I was talking about. Not I wasn't talking about the trailer. I said that's why I know because of the end of the episode. Yeah. But no, I'm interested in the Egyptians. I want to see more because they're very community based. And they look out for, it seems like the world, but I feel like they're looking out for themselves.
Yeah, and one of the things that I'm hoping that they'll go more into, because after this we meet John Fa and Fadakorum, and they're very clearly very important people.
Yeah, he's the king of the North.
I mean, basically, he's the king of the West, I believe.
I thought did she say Western king? I thought he was a Northern king. Ooh.
I believe he's king of the Western, whatever. Anyway, he's an important person.
Yes.
And so he comes in and he mentions, Billy is not the first person to disappear. And he mentions leading the episode, 26 Egyptian children have disappeared.
Yes.
And so they have decided, or they believe they've discovered that these children are being taken to London. And so they're going to go and do that. But in the books, it's hammered into you that children are the most important thing in the world to Egyptians. Everybody, like when you have a child, everybody raises that child. The entire, it takes a village.
Yeah.
The entire, so, Ma Costa, who just lost her son, lost her little boy, but the entire community lost Billy.
I mean, I felt that in the scenes because especially when they go to look and then it kind of looks like they're stopping and going back, but then he's like, we're just going to rally up, go to where we think they are, and the whole crew's coming. Like, that's it. Which she didn't, the actress, I don't know if she got the cue to, but when that scene happened between him and her, she didn't seem like she was relieved with that answer. Like
that they were going, because she didn't want to. Because to accept that they're going to look for Billy in London is to accept that he's been taken. And she doesn't think he's been taken because she doesn't want to. He's lost.
Oh.
Nobody's kidnapped Billy. He's just lost. And if they leave, he won't be able to find them. And John Fa is trying to tell her, like, I know that and you don't want to admit it, but that he's been kidnapped the way that these 26 other kids have, and we're going to go get them.
Okay, I understand that now. Yeah, I was like, why does she not want to go get little Billy boy here?
No, because she doesn't want to admit that he's been taken.
Okay,
she's
but
scared.
by whom? Because they start. No, they know.
Oh, the kids have a name for it.
Yeah, and well, he called it the goblins too, or whatever.
Gobblers.
Whatever, the gobblers.
Gobblers.
Which we didn't talk about how they portrayed, I guess, these gobblers, which they showed like
fox
a fox demon and then somebody kind of humming or whistling a song. and then just snatching them up in a regular net.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing mystical about it besides they're just kidnappers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and Billy is nervous, but his demon goes toward the fox demon.
His demon of a squirrel
his
at the
squirrel
time.
demon, yeah.
Because he's not of age to have it settled, right? Okay. Yeah.
He's a little boy.
Exactly. And so it's just teenagers that have it that settled.
Once you hit puberty, yeah.
Okay.
So John Faw later in the episode calls them gobblers, but first we go back to Lyra and Roger, and they're talking about it. He mentions that Billy Costa has disappeared.
Correct.
And he mentions it's the gobblers, and she's like, the gobblers aren't real. Like,
see, that should have been the witches. That's what I feel like.
The witches aren't real.
Yeah, like the witches aren't real. So, okay. So this whole over thing, because have we got to the scene where they go to the magisterium?
I can't remember where in the episode that was.
That's stuck in there somewhere.
It's somewhere in there.
So,
but we do see the magisterium, and we see Lord Boreal and Father McPhail. I only know the name. They say it very quickly, and I only recognize it because I know who it is.
Okay.
So the black guy is Lord Boreal.
Okay.
And the other one, I believe, is Father McPhail, but I'm not certain on that one.
By the way, everybody that was black in this show, immaculate hair. Like, for some reason, they're all old, but all their hair is there and like vibrant, like grown. And I'm like, really? Nobody's balding, huh?
A little jealous? Do I hear
oh, no, I don't like having that much hair. I cut all my hair off. How dare you? Okay. It's not bald. Right. How dare you? Anyway.
It's like when they asked Turk, he's like, do you shave because you like it or because you're going bald?
I like it. I'm not going bald. I had it, whatever. Anyway, what I was getting to is I'm perceiving witches as an antagonist, gobblers as antagonists, the church as an antagonist, and crap, was that it? I think 3. I think like 3. So I'm like, who's kind of the bad?
Right?
Are they all intertwined somehow?
Right.
That's where I'm at right now. So I'm looking at everybody as kind of just. There's these 3 main villains.
I'm excited to look back on this, like when we get to the end and we have like the wrap up for the season.
Yeah,
I mean, kind of.
And then because I'll probably come back and listen to this episode and then be like, oh well, see, I didn't know that, gobblers were actually the heroes of it. Everything. Yeah.
So we go to the magisterium and we see the scene between Lord Boreal, who has a spy in that meeting because he knows what they talked about in that meeting, even though the master was very clear that nobody talks about this. We're not discussing this.
Which is lies. All lies.
So he knows what happened in the meeting, and he's clearly worried about it. The magisterium is worried about whatever it is that Lord Asriel is doing.
Which is, because like right now it just doesn't seem like it's anything threatening to them. He found a city. Cool. He found dust is around adults. Cool. Like, is dust midichlorians? Does that mean they're Jedi or something? Like, kids don't have dust. So... Or is dust like a metaphor, like you have dust over your eyes and you can't see the truth? That's why they can't see. They can't see the city because so maybe like if Lyra was in the north by herself with her naked eye looking at the Aurora Borealis, she doesn't see Aurora Borealis. She sees the city because she doesn't have dust in her. Look, I've already solved it. Boom. What are we even doing this podcast for? I just solved the whole story right there.
Interesting. All right.
Because mind you, this was written for what ages?
Young adults. Yeah, I mean,
young adults. Come on, how old were you?
I was really young when I read it.
You're like 7, 6?
I was probably like between 7 and 10 when I started it for the first time.
Okay.
But again, it's one of those things like you can read it, but like I said, like I appreciate it more as an adult because I understand the things that went over my head as a kid.
So how's this dust theory ranking on you? Don't give me the poker. Don't give me the poker face right now.
We'll have to see.
No, okay, all right. It's dust in the eyes. I'm telling you. They can see magic or something.
So yeah, the magisterium is clearly very worried about whatever it is that Asriel is doing and is out to stop it.
And it causes Azriel. It's new verbiage I have to learn, so it's gonna take a minute.
Lord Asriel.
Lord Asriel causes him to bounce quick.
Yep.
Because he's like.
Although that's after we
That's where that was after they show the meeting.
She shows up after he leaves, I believe.
Yeah, he's gone by the time
he's
what's
gone
her
by the
name
time she comes in.
Yeah, so he leaves on the.
So he's already gone by the time we get to the Magisterium because
Yeah.
she arrives right after the Magisterium because
Yes.
they make sure like they end the scene. You know, something they say something about her, and the next thing you see is this new character walk in.
Yes, and she has a monkey with her.
But so do we want to go back to Lord Asriel leaving because you had some questions about
Yes.
that?
So okay, so they did a little more exposition there when Lyra says, "Hey, is this the type of plane or is this type of airship that my parents died on?"
Yeah. So Roger tells her that he's leaving, and she has no idea, and she freaks
Yeah.
out, and she says, "Not without me," and she races across Jordan College.
Yes.
She gets to the airship. He's packing up. She's screaming at him. She's like, "You promised you would take me. You promised you would take me one day. Like, don't leave. You're not leaving without me." And he's like, "I don't have time for you."
Yeah, he's like, I don't have time for you now. Yes.
Like, you need to get the fuck out. I have things to do, and
Yes.
you are not part of that, and I don't care. Like,
very, very callous.
yes. He doesn't care that she's
upset. The whole scene, even when she's asking about her parents' death and everything like that, he's like, "Nah, the plane was smaller than this one." Like,
yeah.
Very, very callous the whole time. Roger doing a good job of like hearing that and understanding like, you're a dick, dude.
Yeah.
And then when he takes off, he's like, she's special. Like, treat her as such. And he's like, everybody's special. Like, nobody's unique in this world. We're all special. It's the same thing. And then he just flies off.
And he's out.
And he's just out. So
Bounce.
he really established himself as a dick.
Yes.
That is just, it's almost like one of those things where I don't know who ever as a child experienced this, but it's one of those things where your parents love you, yes, but if they're like in a pinch and they don't have money, it's like, you're going to eat whatever I put on the table because it will keep you alive.
Yeah.
I don't care about it tasting good to you. That's what it is. So it seems like that's what he's like. You will be alive. You'll be fine.
And that's the end of his involvement.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's it.
And
that's
he'll come visit her when it's convenient for him.
And he's not even really visiting.
It's
yeah.
not to visit her.
It's business.
Yeah. And he just happens, she's here too. I guess I'll say hi.
Yeah. She's alive. Okay.
Or even, he didn't even say hi. She ran to him.
That is true.
So you get this idea that she wants this relationship. She wants to be with him. And he's like, I don't got time for you. I got better things to do.
But the thing that's weird then, and I'm guessing they're going to go into it further as the show goes on, is then it's just, why do you care if she's alive or, like, if you showed up there, you have your mission that you're trying to, accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Why would it matter? Like, if he landed and then the master came up and was like, Lyra died last night, would he still be on, just be like, okay? Or would he be like sad and, because like you're treating this person like they're an accessory that you don't need.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, that kind of is what Lyra is to his life at this point, as far as we can see. Like, she's there. He doesn't really appreciate it. It's kind of annoying for him that he has to deal with this little girl when he's trying to get his work done, and he's just trying to bounce as fast as he can.
So what do you I would think, I'm trying to think what her motivation is in the story, because the main character always needs some type of motivation, even if they're not special.
Right.
They need some motivation. So would I be accurate in saying her motivation is just to see outside of the college that she's been stuck at this whole time? Besides the second motivation that comes up of, with her friend Roger.
Yes and no. Because again, there's things from the book that it just jogged my memory because I just read the line. But when we go further in the episode and she gets invited to go live with Mrs. Coulter, her first instinct is she says no. She's like, Jordan College is my home. I'm not leaving.
Yeah, so she didn't do that on this.
Yeah, she wants to go north. She wants to explore with her uncle. She wants to see the north, but she doesn't, like, if she's not going north, she doesn't want to leave. This is her home. This is where she belongs.
Okay.
She doesn't know anything else.
So then I don't.
And if she's not there, like, what is she? Because that's been her entire life.
Okay.
She just wants to go to the north. That's her dream. Even Roger says, he's like, we don't have money. We could never do that. And she's like, sometimes you just have to have dreams.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So he leaves. We get the magisterium thing, and then in walks this new character. So what is your impression of Mrs. Coulter?
Shady.
Okay.
Instantly. For some reason, I just got like, she's shady. Maybe because the way they set up the, we see the magisterium and then it goes to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of a foreshadowing thing of like, here's the bad, and now here's the bad again around the good.
Okay.
So, and then the way that she, and you said it's different in the book, but the way that she instantly just takes a liking to Lyra.
So she does in the book instantly take a liking to Lyra. But as far as I remember, her showing up was not to take Lyra. She was going to Jordan College for other reasons. She had work. She had something that she was doing, and she meets Lyra while she's there at the dinner, like we see, and Lyra is instantly enamored with her. Like, you can see it in her face. Like, she's never seen somebody like this lady.
You're talking about the book now still, or in
book
the
and
show?
The show.
Because
like,
in
you
the
can
show,
see in her face, like, she doesn't, like, this woman sits next to her and she doesn't know what to say. She's quiet, which Lyra never is. And, she even tells her, she's like, are you a female scholar? Because female scholars don't dress like you dress.
But we've never seen a female scholar in this.
But you just have to take her word for it.
Oh, okay.
And that's the other thing is female scholars are incredibly rare because it's the church and they hate women.
Okay. I mean, all right.
But you kind of get this idea that she's instantly enamored with this woman.
Yeah.
And this woman, she's like, I want to know about you. And the woman says, I'm not interesting. You're interesting. Tell me about you.
And that's another thing because it's like, no, she's not. Like, she's just a regular girl right now in this world. Like, if she was in, like, our world, yeah, you're interesting because you have a freaking pet that transforms. But, like, everybody has one. Mm-hmm. There's nothing really special so far about her. So that's why it makes me think she's shady. She knows more than she's telling the protagonist.
I mean, I know you caught on because I think we mentioned it at the time. But so, like, she kind of rebuffs Roger. Like, she's talking to Mrs. Coulter, and Roger's behind her, and he says, hey, Lyra. She doesn't acknowledge him. She doesn't hear him.
Lyra doesn't? You're talking about? Yeah.
She doesn't even hear him. She's so, like, into this conversation she's having.
Yeah.
And then he tries to kind of, like, go between them to pour the water, and Mrs. Coulter puts her hand up. And
well, I don't think maybe it was just filmed a little, like, if he had ran right when she put her hand up or something, but I think she already had her hand up there, and he was just trying to figure out how to get into that.
Around.
Yeah, and he just didn't. But I didn't look at it as, what's her name, Miss Coulter?
Mrs. Coulter.
Mrs. Coulter. I didn't look at her as she didn't like Roger, or I didn't look at Lyra as, oh, well, forget Roger now. Mm-hmm. Especially later on in the scene when she's going to leave, and she's like, I want to take Roger with me. Like, I know he's not the greatest adventurer, or he's not this.
So let's go there next. So after the dinner, she is walking with Mrs. Coulter, and Mrs. Coulter is telling her about the North, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm boring you." And she says, "You could never bore me if you're talking about the North."
Yeah.
Like, and Mrs. Coulter's just like, "Oh, tell me, we can talk about you instead. I'm not really very interesting." And so she tells her about the North, and she kind of paints this beautiful picture of what it's like. And then she asks Lyra to come be her assistant.
Yeah. And like just right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they actually do. So what is she assisting with?
So the way that Mrs. Coulter explains it to her in the book is that, Lyra's going to be her research assistant. But even then, it's really not kind of talked about so much.
Of like what they're researching.
Right.
Okay.
She's like, well, I'm an explorer, sort of, it's a very fancy word for it, but I guess you could say I'm an explorer too. I go to the North, and I would like for you to be my research assistant. You'd have to learn a lot and you have to work very hard, but you could come with me. So this was where I pulled out my book and I had to check something, and then I was like, I need to make sure that I'm remembering this correctly so I can be mad about it, because I am. So
okay.
You and I have talked, or I've kind of talked about the fact that this show is making Lyra a much more likable character.
Correct, which is a weird statement to me.
They're making her much more likable on the surface level than she is in the book. Because in the book, she's a selfish, impetuous brat. Like, she's a 12-year-old child, and she is tenacious, and she, she's right all the time, even when she's wrong.
But you said it's her aspirations and her goals that make her...
But she's still likable. Likable. She's still somebody that you grow to care about because you're reading about her life from her point of view, and you recognize that she has flaws.
Well, because you make it sound like, when you say it that way, you make it sound like the book is like about Malfoy the whole time, and that's not likable. Like that character, that's what I mean by not likable. They go out of their way. To draw the
comparison, the scene that you just mentioned, like you're talking about how much she cares about Roger because she invites him. She's like, I won't go unless he comes.
Yeah,
that's not in the book.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't
care about Roger.
So in the book, Roger disappears before Mrs. Coulter gets there. So by the time Mrs. Coulter gets there, Roger's gone.
And she doesn't even notice.
No, she does. She's worried. And she's worried about Roger, and so Mrs. Coulter comes, and she's enamored with this woman who is everything she wants to be, and like this, she's never seen somebody like this in Jordan College. Like in her whole life, she's never seen somebody like this. So she's in love with this idea of this woman. And then she, gives her exactly what she wants. She asks her to come with her, and she asks her to explore. And Lyra, originally kind of is like, no, Jordan College is my home. And then she's like convinced that this is something that she should do. And there's the line in the book. I'm going to pull it up right now. It's on page
she has
74. Page 74. So she's
chapter 2.
Chapter 3. Anyway,
sure.
She's decided that she's going. Roger has disappeared, and she freaked out on the kitchen staff. She couldn't find him, when she notices that he's gone. And she has this whole thing where she's like, you don't care about him because you're not looking for him. And they're all kind of like, he ran off somewhere. Like, he'll be around. He's a kid.
Okay.
But so he's been, he's kind of missing, and she can't find him. But anyway, she agrees to go with Mrs. Coulter.
Even though Roger's gone.
And the line, she's saying goodbye to everybody. And it says, it was only after she'd said goodbye to the few servants who were up and to Mrs. Lonsdale that she remembered Roger. And then she felt guilty for not having thought of him once since meeting Mrs. Coulter. She completely forgets about him.
Okay.
She completely, because it's not on her radar, because her life is what she cares about. Her dreams, her aspirations. She's so excited with what's happening that she kind of forgets about her missing best friend.
Okay. So then.
And that's just part of who she is.
Okay. But. All right, and I have to wait to see or to ask these questions about the evolution of her character, because it'll probably be Spoilerville or whatever, but that's fine. Okay, so then she just was different. Like,
it's on a surface level, it's making Lyra more likable, because you see that and you're like, oh, she really cares, and it matters to her that he comes with her, and she won't leave without him, and they're so, like... she'll give all this up. She can't go with him, but that's not how she is in the books.
That's not a dislikable trait, though.
If she was enamored,
I would have liked it to be in the show, because it would have made it a little more clear that she was enamored with that character.
Right.
And I didn't get that from her. All I got was, okay, she's going a place that I want to go, so of course I'm going to go. But like, if she was enamored with that character, like, oh, I want to be like her, or I want to, she's dressing, she's like her own woman. Like, I could, grow up to be like this one day. Then that's one thing. So I could see it from a storytelling standpoint. It would have been better for them to be like, right when she was leaving, like, oh crap, Roger is a person still too. But okay, yeah.
So that was the one. Like, as soon as I saw that scene, I was kind of feeling it other places, but as soon as I saw that scene, I was like, they are changing her character to make her more likable for the audience. And I don't like that.
For kids, yes. But like, I, as an adult, just thought, okay, that's her best friend. That's why she wants to take her. But yeah, I could see 100% being like, yeah, she's a more likable person because she cares.
And like, even the scene with Lord Asriel tucking her into bed, like that tender moment kind of makes him a little bit more of a likable character.
Not to me. It seemed like he was dickish
like,
still.
He's still a dick, but like, you kind of have that modicum of in there of like, oh, well, he, on some level he cares about you. He's just a dick.
It seemed very matter of fact as how he put her. Like, well, there it is. I just need to throw her on something. This is what people do, right? They sleep on beds and then a pillow. Yeah. Okay.
So we haven't even gotten to the Golden Compass.
Not going to call it a compass.
We have not gotten to the Golden.
I'm not going to call it a compass. From what I saw,
because it's called an alethiometer.
And what's an alethiometer? It's a real thing.
It's an alethiometer.
So is that a real thing?
It's an alethiometer.
Like a sextant is a real thing.
But it's an alethiometer.
What is an alethiometer? What is that?
In this world, in this book, it is a real thing.
Oh, so it's not a real thing in the real world. Okay. Because mind you, we haven't said that this is Earth.
So yeah, that's literally the very first thing that the show tells you is this is a world much like our own, but it's different. And it's like, this is a story about a world like ours, but
they like name... Like, there's London.
Yeah.
We have London.
They live in Oxford.
London. Oxford is another place. Yeah. So, like, there's real cities.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, is the quote unquote not compass? Compass, is that an actual, what did I call it? A cipher? Is that what that is? Or a decipher or whatever those things are. It's like a key, like the Rosetta Stone. You need that to translate something else. Because that's what whenever they show it, you're a liar.
I don't know what it is.
Anything that you say, I don't know, I already know is a lie. But like when they show it, so we'll set the scene up.
Okay, so, and again, this was something that was different from the books as well, slightly. But so she's pulled out of bed by the professor.
Yeah, who has a newt as his demon.
Yes, his little salamander.
Yes.
And so she's pulled out of bed, and she's, made to get up very quickly. He says, get dressed, we have to go, we're going. And he takes her to the master.
Yes.
So in the books, the difference is she's pulled out of bed in the middle of the night in her pajamas, and they're like, we're going right now. Like, you don't have time to get dressed. They're very clearly trying to do this under the cover of darkness.
Okay.
But in the book, or in the show, the sun's up, and it's morning, and people are moving around, and it's weird.
Well, I mean, it was a different setting too, or different situations where she was about to leave, right? Or she was set to leave.
Yeah.
And in the book, was it the same thing?
The same.
Oh, okay.
The same.
All right.
So it's right before she leaves. It's the night before she's going to leave.
Yeah.
So the master of Jordan College pulls her in. And again, on her, she asked, well, Razor, do we still trust this guy? I don't really know what to think right now.
Wait, she didn't, he was gone by then, though.
Yeah, he was gone.
Yeah. She did ask that earlier. Yes.
Yeah.
Can we trust the master?
And so he hands her, he takes out this little
satchel or something.
A little satchel, and he opens up this thing, and he hands it to her, and he tells her this is an alethiometer, and it tells you the truth. And
that's it.
That is all we get.
How does it work? Does it run on gas? Do I need, Bitcoin, something to make it work?
It's got a bunch of pictures on it. It's got a couple dials.
And this looked like different languages, or not different languages, but different characters on there.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me. So that's why I'm thinking it's some type of cipher where it's okay, I need this to read something else. That's where my mind is always going to be with this thing.
And all he tells her is it tells the truth. And I will say that there is a couple shots that kind of hint at certain things, but if you don't know what you're looking at, you wouldn't get it. It wouldn't occur to you.
That we saw?
That's in this episode.
So that's why I was maybe the trailers.
No, the trailers were bad. But yeah, so he hands her this alethiometer. He tells her that she has to keep it.
She didn't want it initially.
She didn't, because he told her she has to keep it secret from everybody. You can't tell anybody. You cannot tell Mrs. Coulter. And she says, I don't want secrets. I don't want this.
Why, though?
She doesn't want to deal with it. She's afraid. She doesn't.
It felt like there was nothing that built to that. When I first saw that and I was she declined, I'm like, why didn't she? There's no purpose for her not to take it. I could see if her uncle was don't trust anybody. And then she was like, no, I don't really want this. Then that makes sense to me.
That's exactly what
he said. He doesn't trust anybody. He didn't tell her. He doesn't give a rat's anus about her. So he's like, trust anybody you want. Go ahead and do whatever you want. I got my own stuff going on. You got your own stuff.
But you gotta remember, she's kind of molding herself after him in a certain way. She asks him, do we still trust the master? And he says, I don't trust anybody.
Okay. But
she
takes it, though.
So she takes it, and he gives her, this speech about...
Wait. So hold on. Because when she declined it, Lyra said, it probably belongs to my uncle anyway.
Yeah.
So... that doesn't make any sense then. Why wouldn't she just want it then?
We skipped a crucial scene.
What
the conversation that the master has with the professor.
Oh, yeah, you said that wasn't in the book, right?
I think, looking back, I think it is.
Okay.
I was kind of not sure, and I was annoyed that they added something, but I think that actually is. So there's a scene where he's talking with the professor who doesn't want her to go.
At night,
he's come to care for her. He's raised her. He's taught her. He cares for this little girl.
Yeah.
And the master's the alethiometer says she's going to take a journey. She has to take a journey.
He said the alethiometer?
The alethiometer says that she has to take a journey. You watched it twice, my friend, okay?
One was in 420p or something.
Pay attention. So he says the alethiometer says she has to take a journey. We have to let her go. And it says that there will be a great betrayal.
Yeah, and then the professor was like, who's going to betray her?
Is it going to be Laura Asriel?
Yeah.
He says, that's the worst part of it. She is going to be the one to betray somebody.
And see, that's why you're saying that they're making her more likable, she's not that likable in the books, makes me think, is she the bad guy in this whole thing? At the end, is she going to be the Darth Lord or something like that?
I mean, she's just a kid. She's an annoying little kid.
But something is special about the kid, though. The story centers around her.
They do. I mean, if you listen to that conversation, they are talking about how important she is.
Exactly. So that's why
she's somebody.
Something is important about her. The story is centered around her, and then they're putting a lot of emphasis on her.
So somehow he was able to ask the alethiometer or read the alethiometer in some way that gave him information about her.
Correct.
and it tells the truth. It only tells you the truth.
Lasso of truth all of a sudden, yes.
And so he knows that, okay, well, we have to let her go, and we have to let this happen. Like, it's going to happen, and there's nothing we can do about it, and it just has to be that way.
And, like, what's the, like, they of course, I understand because of the story, they can't give all the details, but, like, what's the situation that's so dire that she's going to betray?
Who knows?
Is it going to destroy the world?
Who
Like,
knows?
what is the consequence? That's the big thing. If I was a professor, I'd be like, well, what's the consequences of this? Because if she betrays somebody, but it helps to save somebody else's life, or it helps to save something else, then you got to do what you got to do. So, I mean, what's the problem?
So so she has the alethiometer now. He gives her the speech. It's actually pulled, the line is actually pulled directly out of the book. That he tells her, he's like, I'm just going to find it.
Just read it. You know
I
want to.
think it's on page 89.
You had it all.
It's not on page 89.
For those that can't see, she had the book right next to her. You said
have
2
it.
page numbers. You're like 90.
I said 89, but it was for something different. I don't know.
That's why I told you to use like bookmarks.
I don't have any bookmarks.
Fold the page in.
Excuse me?
I knew you were one of those.
But anyway, he says something to the effect of, like, you know, the ties that move men and women are stronger than any of us could have ever, you know, whatever. And that whole sequence of lines that he tells her, you keep your own counsel, is directly out of the book.
Okay.
Which I like that. That means, you know, they paid attention to an extent.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the series as opposed to a movie that's got to be quick.
Right.
So they have to do a little more.
Game of Thrones was a series too.
But it was, we already, they didn't know what they were doing. Okay.
But yeah, so she takes the alethiometer, she hides it, she puts it in her pocket, she doesn't show anybody. As she's leaving, she's like yelling at it. She's like, well, where's Roger? Tell me where Roger is. Because she doesn't understand.
And if it doesn't work the first time, lady, what are you screaming at it more? Like, it's not going to just be like, oh, you wanted me to tell you now. Sorry. Like,
and again, that kind of shows that in the show, like, she's worried about Roger. She doesn't want to leave without knowing where Roger is, without knowing he's okay. In the book, she, like, bounces.
And she doesn't think about Roger even when she does a little regret of, oh, crap, I forgot about Roger. She doesn't think,
she feels guilty that she hasn't thought about him since she met Mrs. Coulter, but then she still leaves.
Well, yeah, she still leaves, but... Oh, so does Mrs. Coulter... She never tells Mr. Coulter about Roger in the book.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Oh, well, at least not until
initially.
she remembers, and then she kind of convinces herself, like, well, if anybody can find him, Mrs. Coulter can.
Okay, so let's get to that then, because Mrs. Coulter, when they were talking to each other about Roger being kidnapped by the gobblers, and she pulled her 2 inches away to
speak privately.
Speak privately, yeah. Mrs. Coulter was like, "I will find this kid." Like, yeah, and now that's why I'm like, hold on, right off the bat, you barely know these people, and you're like, die hard, making a blood oath over here. I will find Roger, no matter what. So that's why I think she's shady. I'm like, nah, nobody's doing that. Like, if she had her own agenda and she was there to show up, she'd be like, you know what? While we're exploring, we'll keep an eye out for Roger. But
so there are certain things, certain choices that they made in the directing of this episode that pissed me off because I felt like it telegraphed 100% what was going to happen, and the fact that you didn't pick up on them is a good sign to me.
Well,
we'll have to go back. We'll talk about it at the end.
Everything. Well, I mean, we're kind of getting to the end now.
No, I mean the end of the series.
Okay.
Like when we get to the end of the season and you know everything that's happened.
Okay.
We can come back to that, and I'll ask you if things make sense that weren't stand out.
When she's yelling at the compass to try to find Roger, how does she know that Miss Coulter is leaving again?
That whole scene was
she
weird.
Barely
where, like,
makes
the
it.
Airship is like taking off and she's running after it. I don't.
Like, Miss Coulter didn't even seem like she was like worried about her getting on the ship.
Yeah.
And then when she gets on the ship, she's like, "Well, I'm glad you joined me, or you decided to join me." But I was like, "Well, she already said she was going to join you. You said you were going to find Roger. Yeah. Where else is she going to do?" So that was kind of weird. Her jumping on. Yeah, no,
because she's saying goodbye to the servants so she can leave. Like, that's the whole thing. And then they're in London.
Yeah. So, well, she's on the airship on the show, and she pocketed the
alethiometer,
the compass,
the alethiometer.
It's not a real thing. Because if you say it,
it's a fucking book. It's not a real world.
Yeah, but no,
demons aren't real.
Yeah, but when you say airship, that's something people can put. But when you say alethiometer, nobody has a frame of reference to what that is.
The point. That's the whole
terrible.
point.
That's terrible.
It's this object that you're not supposed to understand.
Yeah, but there's a description of the object because it's in the show and they recreated it, right?
Yes.
And then it's in the movie. They recreated what it looks like.
It looks different in the movie, but
Okay,
same basic concept.
but
it looks like a compass with pictures on it.
So then, yeah, you just go a compass.
But it's not a compass. It's an alethiometer.
All right, I understand. But for listeners that have no reference,
they got to get used to it. They got to get used to it.
So then from now on,
we're going to talk about the alethiometer.
Is a compass.
No.
All right. Or a compass-looking device.
No.
It's not a compass-looking device?
What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
I was going to say...
she pockets the alethiometer.
She pockets the thing, and then the monkey gives...
The creepy-ass monkey.
Gives her the cold... Or gives her demon a cold stare. I could have sworn she was looking... Or I don't know if it's a she or he, the monkey, because it never speaks.
So that's something they also don't address. That, like, the gender of your demon... doesn't always match your gender.
Yeah, no, because Pan is a boy. Okay.
His name is Pantalaimon.
We're just going to go Pan.
That's what they call him most of the time. They call him Pan.
Yeah, exactly. Which we didn't discuss any of that. I didn't think there was enough back and forth between there to build that character up because they are characters.
Yeah.
So I want to see them written as characters and not side pets because that's why I said pets.
I'm hoping we will see more of that because Pan and Lyra have a lot of one-on-one time.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it's your soul.
Yeah.
So I don't think it gave me enough of that. Maybe in the next episode it will, but right now it was just kind of like, this is a pet. This is not another character.
How dare you?
There's
that monkey we never hear speak.
None at all. That's why it's shady. It's an assassin.
But again, that comes to the part where like you don't really speak to other people's demons very much.
Yeah, but we haven't
had any scenes with Mrs. Coulter and her demon alone
but
having discussions.
You also said that they kind of share their kind of like emotion.
Yeah.
Like, so if Mrs. Coulter is feeling like I need to be on the kind of sly, monkey is not really going to do anything out of the ordinary. It's not even going to chirp or whatever monkeys do. So it's just going to glare evil at other demons. And
the monkey looks pretty good.
Exactly, because the monkey's an assassin. The monkey is an assassin. He's a part of the gobblers.
It occurs to me, I don't know the monkey's name. I can't remember his damn name.
You don't know a lot of the demons' names because there wasn't a lot of them around.
That was upsetting.
Yeah.
But like I remember Hester's name. I remember Cecilia's name. I was gonna say the Raven's name, but I don't remember the Raven's name.
What's who? Oh, for the master.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember his Raven's name.
They never say that either.
They didn't say.
He was kind of.
I don't think they never said Stelmaria's name.
But you just know from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they'll eventually say it in the show.
Maybe.
They've gotta. I mean, if it's a character that's like, that's what I'm saying. They don't feel like characters yet.
She feels like the most character of them. Like she was
from this episode.
Yeah, she was very clearly like. In the beginning, she's like, "We have to go right now. Like the storm is here. We have to.
We should
leave.
Rest. We should. It was all. She was definitely more.
It's that voice actress because she's.
You don't even know who that is.
Something about her voice, like it's just so smooth and like. Oh.
First of all, I know about smooth voices. All right.
Not like that. You don't.
First of all, how dare you?
That.
How dare you? I could have been a voice actor.
I want to get her on
this
podcast.
Well, then you got to figure out who she is first.
But yeah. So creepy monkey.
Creepy monkey creeps. Yep.
You can see the Egyptians are on the river.
Yeah, Lyra looks out of the window because
out.
They're going to go to London too. That's where they believe the gobblers are that are taking their children, which they didn't establish that it was like how many kids?
26.
Yeah, they didn't say that.
They did.
In the episode, he said 20 kids.
Yeah.
I could have sworn
John Faw, when they're at the boats and he's trying to convince Ma Costa that they need to go, he says to her, "They've taken 26 of our children."
I could have sworn he just said they.
No, because that's the only reason I remember it. Because I wouldn't have remembered that from the book. That's very specific.
26, and did they say that in the book?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Is that about a number? Okay, so they all say it's
and I just watched Mindhunter, so I'm like thinking the Atlanta Monster. Like nobody cared about these Egyptian kids.
Yeah, that's what they call it. The less dead. So it's terrible.
Nobody cared that these Egyptian kids were going missing, and they're having to figure it out on their own because nobody's going to help them because nobody cares about the Egyptians.
So the other thing that's interesting is if they knew it's easy to take Egyptian kids because nobody's looking for them, why would they take the kid out of the college?
That's a good question.
Because he wasn't I don't think he was by himself anywhere, right? I can't remember. He was just gone. He was just gone. They never showed like he was just walking down an alley like they showed
Billy.
Billy, yeah. Okay. So that's another mystery there. Like, why would they take? Well, for me, it's a mystery. Why would you take a kid out of a place where you know they're probably going to look for it, as opposed to just sticking
But
to
I mean,
the
at the
place?
same time, he's a servant boy.
Yeah, but
Like, who cares?
somebody looked for him.
Lyra did.
But no, because remember she went in the kitchen. She was like, "Where's Billy?" And he was like, "I've been looking for him too."
He meant like Billy, or he meant Roger's late for his shift. I would like to know where he is too.
Roger. Yeah, sorry. Oh, okay.
It wasn't like, because that's what she gets angry at the staff because she's asking everybody, where's
she didn't
where's
say, yeah,
Roger?
Roger,
Where's
yes.
Roger? And they're like, he'll show up. He just probably like ran off or slept
But they didn't
somewhere.
do that
And
in the
she gets
show.
angry and she's like, none of you care about him. Like, the bloody gobblers got him and nobody cares. And
well, see that if that's specific to the book, that shows a little. I mean,
yeah, but then when it's inconvenient for her, when she has something better to think about, she forgets about him.
Well, that's tough. That's a tough one, only because
I'm also going off 3 books of
I understand. Yeah, I know. But for the first
45 minutes.
But the beginning, and from what you're explaining, it just makes it seem like she was just enamored with something new. How many kids get, distracted from an old toy when a new toy comes
It's not a toy, it's a missing child.
But that's how it is. That's how it is. A kid doesn't know the difference.
That's how it is to her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's a child. That's the thought process. Now, maybe later on in these books and in the series, there'll be something else dickish that she does. Like she kicks the monkey off the dirigible or something like that. Whatever. But for right now, it just seems like it's a kid with kid, tendencies. So
her best friend is missing.
Yeah, I mean, and it showed in the show, but it doesn't show in the book.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the point.
So they're going to London. And that's
where we leave off.
That was the end of the episode.
That's where we leave off. And then I stopped it before the next. So
I still saw some stuff.
My friends Tyler and Liz and I watched this all together last night, and they've both read the book, but Liz especially doesn't remember anything. She's like, I know I read it, but it was years ago, and she doesn't remember a goddamn thing about it. And then we watched the Coming Next on his Dark Materials, and first of all, it's long. And with a lot of first episodes, like it's like not necessarily what's coming next week. It's like what's coming this season. It wants to draw you in to watch.
Yeah. I've seen that before.
It shows everything. It shows who they're gonna meet up with, where they're gonna go, what's gonna happen when they get there, when she's gonna diverge from certain things, and when she's gonna meet up with certain things, and when things are gonna change, and how relationships are gonna change. I was like, we're all sitting there like dumbfounded. I'm like yelling at the TV, and Liz just goes, "I remember the whole book now. Cool." It was the whole thing. I could not believe how much they showed. So every time we watch this, just don't ever watch the Coming Next.
Well, yeah, that'll be easy because I mean,
stop it at the end.
That's fine.
I could not believe. So that was, I mean, and I think I was talking about it with them while we were sitting there, and it's the difference. It feels like the difference between audience when you're looking at readers versus people watching, or the way they advertise to people who are going to read something versus people who are going to watch something. And when you pick up a book, you get maybe like a paragraph, a brief synopsis that has to pull you in, and then you're going to submit yourself to hours and hours and hundreds of pages, and that little paragraph is all you get.
Yeah.
And you decide based on that you're going to read this book. When people advertise a show to you, it's like they're trying to advertise to like the lowest common denominator, and they need to tell you every single thing that's going to happen. They're like, we can't intrigue you, we can't be mysterious, we have to tell you this is going to happen, this cool thing's going to happen, this big ass epic moment's going to happen.
It's a visual medium.
So nothing can be a surprise. No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
You can be mysterious without giving the entire plot away.
You have to, not for this type of story, I think. Only because this is a child story, and I think they want you to know that there's going to be, like, I didn't see the trailer, so I can't really say what's in it, but I think they want you to know that there's a bunch of stuff from the book that you're going to get to see in this. That's what they're probably shooting for. If they put this stuff, if they made it towards me to where they were trying to keep it mysterious and stuff like that, and they didn't show any plot points, I'd just be like, okay, so more running around of the little girl.
You can hint at things without spoiling. And when we get to the end of all this, I'll have you watch what it was so you can kind of understand.
Yeah.
But, like...
How many episodes in the season?
8.
Okay. All right.
So they'll do 8 episodes.
All right, cool.
But, like, I'm just going to read the synopsis of this book because it's right here. It's right in front of me. His Dark Materials. Book 1. It says, Lyra is content to run wild among the scholars of Jordan College with her demon familiar, it even says familiar, demon familiar
Yeah, that's what
always
I've been
by her
calling him.
side.
Yeah.
But the arrival of her fearsome uncle, Lord Asriel, draws her to the heart of a terrible struggle. A struggle born of gobblers and stolen children, witch clans and armored bears. Oh, they do mention witches in this. What the fuck?
Uh-oh, somebody. So, like, that's on the back of the book.
That's
So
on
I
the
can
back
go
of the book?
to, I can go to a library or a Barnes and Noble, and I can see that there's witches right off the
I
bat.
guess so. And as she hurtles toward danger in the cold far north, young Lyra never suspects the shocking truth. She is destined to win or to lose this more than mortal battle. Philip Pullman's award-winning The Golden Compass is a masterwork of storytelling and suspense, critically acclaimed and hailed as a modern fantasy classic.
That wouldn't have gotten me enough to read the book.
You're not a reader, though.
No, I am. I promise you.
Okay.
I promise you, when the book is good enough, I will sit there.
But
and
you
the
don't.
last one
That's
was the
not like
Beasties.
your hobby.
Yeah, it's not my hobby. Hobby, yes.
None
Like,
of
you got
them.
me. We're clearly not speakers either. So, no. If it's a good enough read, and I will go through it. And I don't care what anybody says. Comic books are the same thing. I will go through volumes and volumes of comic books as well. They're stories. If you read enough of them, it'll equal a novel. So, but that back there, because I don't know what it just tells me about a kid going north, but not like, I mean, I guess, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't as gripping as I thought it was going to be. I think they should have kept it to where they explained all those different things. Like, there's going to be witches, there's going to be gobblers, there's going to be...
Literally what it just did.
No, I'm saying, but not go the rest of, she's going to go up north to fight this, or to battle this good, evil type of thing. Like, if they left that part out and just been like, that's what she's going to deal with, and then that's it, it would have been fine. So I'm saying, literally, leave out the last sentence. Yeah. And she would have been cool. She's struggling against gobblers,
And stolen
children. And then, boom, I'm in. That's what it is. That's what gets me. And then the last two sentences, I'll figure it out inside the book.
But you just said it didn't grab you.
No, I'm saying that's what have grabbed me more than that.
Whatever.
So I read this book. Here, I'll explain it real fast. I read this book called Save the Cat. And it's the last book you need on screenwriting, because that's when I was still doing a lot of screenwriting. And they tell you, it teaches you how to write taglines. That there should be one or two sentences that should grab you real fast. And then they give you homework on how to create a tagline. They show you where to research taglines. And then they actually put taglines for movies in the book.
But this isn't a tagline.
I understand.
Books don't have taglines.
I understand, but I'm a movie guy. That's why I'm telling you,
But
me.
it's a
Only
different
me.
medium.
It's only me.
Which is what I just said. I said you're not a reader.
I know, and I'm explaining to you now what would have grabbed me. That's all I was doing. That's all I was doing, Emma. That's all I was doing. Go ahead.
A major motion picture, holiday 2000.
It was not a major. It was not a major motion picture. It was a picture.
It was all those boycotts.
Yeah.
It was all those
I don't
Catholic
think
boycotts.
that stifled it.
No, the thing that sucked is they definitely totally took credit for it because the movie flopped and they were like, "We did this."
You didn't stifle
No, they
anything.
didn't. They didn't. It was just a shitty movie. But
this was what's that?
I didn't hear about any. I haven't heard a single protest, boycott, anything against this show. And there were
I haven't either.
There was like big news about the boycotts.
Well,
the Catholic,
it came out in
the
what,
Catholic
2007?
Yeah.
The movie.
Yeah. It's been 12 years.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean,
People are stupid and they're like, it's called His Dark Materials, not The Golden Compass. It's different. Like, don't recognize it as the same thing.
The thing that makes no sense to me, if you're boycotting it, how do you know what's in it? You must have read it.
It's been, I think this is on, I want to say the series might be banned. It's probably banned in like Catholic schools for sure. But it's on like a banned book list.
They had to have read it, right? So then clearly you...
Heretics.
You read, yeah.
Well, it's like the magisterium. Like the magisterium
Exactly.
knows all these things that it doesn't want anybody else to know.
So yeah, I know. So that clearly they...
It's a church thing.
Yes, I
It's a
understand.
church thing.
I'm not...
Churches don't want you to know shit.
I'm not against anybody, because I'm like, that's everybody's own opinion. I'm not against anything that's anti-church. You know, there's a lot of anti-everything in this world. So you just have to just live. That's all I'll say. Just live. Jeez. All right, so how are you going to wrap this up?
What do you expect to get next?
Next episode. I'm excited.
I'm good. I'm glad you liked it.
Because so here's what I want, but here's what I expect. What I want is more interaction between the familiars and their
people.
Their people. Yeah. I don't know if you call their masters.
No. God, no. You're not. No. It's
They,
not a pet.
Because they seem like pets from this first
my God.
episode. They didn't get enough. I need more. They need to be characters. They need to have. I need Pan to have a personality. I didn't feel that through this. Besides, all I felt was he was worried about her every time. Because every line that he had was,
he's cautious.
"Oh, we shouldn't be doing that," or "We shouldn't like."
He's
no,
very cautious.
That just means he was worried about her. I never heard like, "Oh,"
he's just worried in general.
So I need to see more of his personality. That's definitely what I want to see. I need to see more of the I'm not gonna call them gypsies. The Egyptians. I need to see more of the Egyptian culture, and I needed a little more explanation on like their overalls. Like all I got from them is maybe they're nomadic because they all live on boats that can easily get up and go, and they're poorer than the rest of
Both correct.
Were they even? Is that all? Because that's all you saw of Oxford is there's a college and there's poor folks.
Well, that's all Lyra sees. That's all Lyra sees. Okay. Lyra knows Jordan College and she knows the Egyptian kids. That's her entire life. She's never been anywhere.
But I understand, but we never get it from her perspective. Because she's not there with the Egyptians whenever they're doing the ceremony. She's not there whenever the kid is kidnapped. She's not there when they make the decision to leave. So...
Which, again, those were all scenes that were added for the show.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So why not show or be like, or like give me a pan shot of this entire city so I know that there's probably something out there. But whatever. So I'm guessing I'm going to see now London and what London's going to be like because that's where everybody's headed. So I'm interested to see how society runs in this alternate Earth. And how does the Magisterium.
Close. I heard you stop yourself from calling it the magistrate.
Yes. How that affects everybody's everyday life. Mm-hmm. Like, what restrictions does it hold on them? Like, oh, you cannot eat fish on Fridays or something like that.
Okay.
I'm interested to see how, because it doesn't feel like there's any restrictions so far. It just seems like...
Right, because Lyra grew up in somewhere that she doesn't feel those restrictions.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem like the Egyptians have any restrictions.
I mean, you've seen about 5 seconds of them.
That's why I'm saying I want to see more of them. Let's go. Let's get the Egyptians in there. Let's do some stuff. That's what I want to see. So I want to see more interaction with the demons. I want to see more Egyptians, and I want to see more of I need more world building. Okay. That's what I need. And I'm hopefully, since they're going to a bigger city with London, that I'll see some of that.
Well, there we go. So it's 8 episodes, so we have 8 hours to get through this book, which is actually, that's pretty solid, because the audiobook is 10.5 hours.
Good Lord.
So 8 hours to do it, I think we can do. So this episode 2 is called The Idea of the North. Is episode
Too vague.
2.
Too vague for me to even make a decision off that.
Exactly. It's supposed to be a fucking title.
The first episode could have been called The Idea of the North.
The first episode is called Lyra's Jordan. And then we don't even know the episode titles for 3 through 8.
Doesn't even wear Jordans the whole episode, everybody.
Jordan College, my friend.
Whatever. It could have been called Oxford for all I know.
She lives in Oxford.
I know, but there's an Oxford College, right?
There's actually there is. I actually have a book back there called Lyra's Oxford. It's a little companion book.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, was that like a prequel or a...
No, it's a companion book to the series. But so that is the first episode of our as yet untitled His Dark Materials podcast.
Yeah,
Maybe it will have a title.
I don't like that name though.
I said it was His Dark Materials podcast.
Yeah, but when you put his, it's still whatever. You're proud of you running the show like this. Wow. Wow.
So hopefully by the time this is posted, there will be a title, and whoever's listening to this is going to be like, Tuesdays. So you got a couple hours to figure out a title.
You literally have like about 1 hour.
That's fine. It's fine. Anyway, we will see you next week. We got to figure out a watch.